Well, hello, online pipe community. This is Ethan, parsimonious piper, and who do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
This is the pipe professor. My name is David, and I'm glad to be with you this afternoon.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Roughly, where do you live? What your hobbies are, that sort of thing.
Well, I've been an educator my whole life. I was a public school teacher for a lot of years, and I was a principal. Then I was a college professor for a number of years, and now I was asked by a private school in Durham to start they had one, but it needed to be developed, their gifted and talented program. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And I've really enjoyed doing that. It's real close to the house, and I've loved it so much I haven't gone back into university teaching. I left when my father died suddenly, this estate, and take care of some things like that. And I was at Lenore Ryan University in Asheville, and I was traveling back and forth from my home in Hillsborough, where I live. And it just trying to do Dad's estate, which was a mess, and doing all that, I just decided I needed to be home. And so I came back here, and that's when this job that I have now opened up. I'm fairly nerdy. I love books, a variety of books. I love music. I love nature. I live in a very beautiful place here. This is my home place where I grew up, and I've got, a little garden outside, and not like Dale Piper's by any stretch, but got a garden and a porch out there, as you can see off to my left shoulder here. I used to coach. I played semi-pro baseball when I was younger, and love music, played Native American flute, guitar. I just do a lot of things to try to stay out of trouble, mainly. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But
that's a worthwhile pursuit.
Absolutely keeps me out of jail. And but I'm a Hillsborough guy. I've lived in Hillsborough, which is in central North Carolina. As most of your viewers know, I'm sure. And I love it here. I can't imagine being anywhere else. It's been nice. And then I joined the YTPC, or I started watching the videos on the YTPC. I'd say in January, February, something like that. And I can tell you how that happened if you want. But
yes, absolutely.
As I said on my video, I never was a smoker. An assistant principal of mine got me into smoking a cigar every once in a while to relieve stress, which as a teacher is predominant. But back in January, late January, a friend of mine gave me a Savinelli 320, a used one that he got from a friend. And he gave it to me, and I felt like, he wanted to smoke with me, and so I felt like I ought at least try it, and I did, and I was hooked. And I went on on YouTube to look for Savinelli 320s. I knew nothing about the brands, nothing about anything had to do with pipes, and who pops up but Onion?
Yeah.
Talking about how he got hooked on the Savinelli 320s, and it just rolled from there. I've seen some of your videos, and I mean, I've seen this channel is tremendous. The knowledge that's out there and the enthusiasm for pipe smoking, and it's just captured my fascination and trying to learn about the pipes and the tobaccos and all of that. And Onion was trying to get me to do a video. He said I ought to do one, and I kept resisting, and then I just took an urge back this past weekend. I just thought, I don't know, it just felt right. This morning I'm gonna cut a video and I'll watch it, and if it's a disaster, which it probably will be, then I don't have to send it to anybody. Nobody will have to know that I screwed up. So I made it, and it wasn't good, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
It was not bad at all. It was a good intro.
You're very kind, and you're very kind. And I uploaded. Onion helped me get sort of the logistics of getting the channel started, and but that's how I got started. And everybody's just been so kind. They really have.
Now, Onion's a nice guy, but he does have a dark side. You know, he's a Clemson fan. So.
Yeah, there's some problems with Johnny. And I have to go too much into it because I don't want to hurt his feelings. He's been a good friend to me, but there are some problems. I have to wear a bib when I watch his channel because when he describes all these tasty tobaccos, I drool.
Yeah.
The time he gets through with one of those videos, I feel like I've been deep sea diving. I need to wear a scuba suit or something because he talks about all these tastes, which I can't get yet. And he keeps talking about Gawith and Hogarth tobaccos, which are nearly impossible for me to get. You guys may have figured out how to do it, but every time just about it's out. You know, it's not in stock. And so, you know, and he's, no, I'm just picking. He's, in fact, a lot of my wanting to do the channel kind of comes from sort of playing off what he does, which is, you know, I just love companionship. I love sitting with people and smoking a pipe or a cigar. As I said in my first video, I grew up very near my grandparents, and I just idolized my grandpa. And I would go up there and, you know, Pop had a TV, but most of the time we just sat and talked. I mean, you know, out on the porch or in his study. And I really learned about how important conversation is. And when you're listening to a lot of the presenters on YTPC, that's what I love about it. It's like, you know, it's like having somebody to sit with. And as I was saying with you before we started, there is no brick and mortar around me, really. there is no pipe club around me. And I live alone. So, you know, there really hasn't been anybody that I could share this with. And when I'm listening to Onion and some of the others, it's just like having somebody to sit with and have a pipe. And there are also YTPCers who are the go-tos if you want to know something. They're very instructive into all the little nuances of pipe smoking that I never realized were there. So if I want more of an informational type video, I know where to go. If I want more of just sitting and having a pipe with somebody, I know where to go. And I thought, you know, maybe there's an audience out there for me. For somebody just, and I'm up front. I'm new to pipe smoking. You've forgotten more about pipe smoking than I'll ever know. I mean, I don't know anything much about pipes or about the tobaccos. I don't pick up the taste. But I thought, you know, maybe there's some new pipe smokers out there who would just like to come and sit on my porch and let's journey together. And, you know, like Onion does and some others, you know, just whatever comes to mind. I don't have an agenda. I'm not going to script it. I'll just sit down and there might be something percolating in there that I'll do. And then sometimes maybe I'll just do the Professor pause and just sit, you know, just like Johnny does. But I hope there's an audience just to sit and, you know, and smoke. I'm not going to be able to give it much information, not for a while, but companionship I can do.
Well, one of the traditions of these videos that we neglected right up front was to do a little bit of housekeeping. So what are you smoking and what are you smoking it in?
Well, this is a Savinelli Capri that I picked up, and I'm smoking right now something called Cloud Hopper, which I'm sure most of your viewers are probably familiar with. And in the Savinelli, this is a root briar pipe. And I tend to like the billiards a lot, but my pipe is the 320. That's the pipe that I really like the most. And I typically don't smoke a rusticated one. And the reason for that is I love wood. I love the grain of wood. And so the thing about the rusticated is I can't see the grain. So I typically like the smooth pipes more because I like to be able to see the grain. And also I spend as much time doing this, looking at the pipe and holding it and checking it out as I do smoking it. And so, you know, the smooth ones are a bit more interesting to me, but I have some free hands, some Eric Nording free hands. I have a Ben Blade free hand. I have, you know, different ones. I have billiards like this. I have some smaller pipes that are really more for, I don't know, cocktails or something that I don't go to. But if you want a quick smoke and you don't want to fill a bowl with a pound of tobacco like some of the Savinellis will take, I can't afford some of the other pipes yet. But if you just want a quick smoke, I've got some of the smaller ones too. And but yeah, this is a Savinelli Capri. I don't know how old it is. I got it off of eBay actually. So, but I like something that fits in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And this one does. I've got sort of meaty hands, and kind of a round face, and so. But the Savinelli 320s are that's my pipe.
That is a great author shape. Well, in an RC Sands sort of canted Rhodesian, I don't know what you'd really call it. I've got a custom blend that I picked up from a guy that I met up at the Ohio show, the Atomic Breakfast. It's Kentucky and burley and some cigar leaf and a few other components, but those are the things I really taste out of it.
Right. I got I was talking about Garth and Hogarth. I finally did one of the, I can't remember if it was, I think it was smokingpipes.com sent me a little email saying that they had the Garth and Hogarth in. I had clicked on please let me know. And so I got some of the Black Irish Twist and the Brown Irish Twist because Onion talks about that a lot, and so does some of the other people on YTPC. Well, yeah. And this goes with being a young smoker. Well, not young, but a new smoker is probably the best way to put it. They really need to do a better job of warning us about certain things. Because when I opened the box, I think it's the Brown Irish Twist that comes in the rope.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it was face down with no label. And so when I opened up the box, I thought someone had sent me a box of poop. Either that or it was the small intestine of a very large dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, you know, I just did one video. Surely I couldn't have ticked somebody off that much. But then I realized what it was. But and yeah, and so I finally got that and the twist, and then I picked up. I was able to get some Innerdale Flake, something I've been wanting to try that I've heard about so much. And oh gosh, it was ridiculous what I spent on tobacco. It hurts my soul sometimes to think about it. But it was all tobaccos that I've heard from over a variety of videos among different people on YTPC. And so I'm looking forward to but some of the best stuff I've had actually comes from Mylon Tobacco Nist in Roanoke. I've ordered some stuff offline, and I think my favorite go-to tobacco really is Jefferson Street, which I get from Mylon Tobacco. And they also have one called Reflections. Mm-hmm. They just came out with one called Celebration, which was a special commemorative tobacco. So, but I tend to be more of an aromatic guy. Now, you know, you and some others are trying to work on me to get me out of that, you know.
Nah, you smoke what you like. No, Mylon has some great blends.
They really do. It's really good. I want something that I can stick my nose in the bag and, you know, I get that smell because I'm not going to get it smoking yet. So I might as well get it when I open the tin or the bag. And it's really good stuff.
Well, and their aromatics they smoke cool and dry. They don't smoke hot and wet. They really do a nice job. I'm not big on aromatics, but I do like a number of Mylons. They have some good arrows. So you mentioned that you really like the 320 shape. Are there any other shapes that you're drawn to?
The billiard, something that's like this. Okay. The billiard. I don't go too much for what they call the nose warmers. Mm-hmm. The ones that curve up, have a really
a deep bend.
Yeah, and come up. I think they call them nose warmers or something. But
no, a nose warmer is just a short pipe that heats up your nose.
Oh, okay. All right. So, well, anyways, the one with the deep bend, and I'm trying to think, the sort of Peterson P-lip shape, shape. I have one or two of those, but usually I stick with the billiards and the 320s, and I like big pipes. I like the ones that take the 9 millimeter filters because I do smoke with the filter when I can. And so I tend to stick with bigger pipes that take the 9 millimeter as opposed to the 6.
Well, you're too new to this to really have seasonal blends yet. But among aromatics, are there any outside of the Mylans that have just jumped out at you as particularly good?
Well, I'm afraid to say too much because I'll probably identify something as an aromatic that it's not. Because I don't know the tobaccos that well. The cloud hopper I like. I don't know if that's an aromatic or not.
No.
But I'm trying to think of some of the other blends that would be in the air. I like Edward G. Robinson.
Okay.
I would go to some of that. I like to mix that with half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is called the Shelby Foot blend that I got off of Pipe on the Patios channel. But I like the Edward G just to smoke it as it is. And I'm trying to think of some others that maybe pretty much I stick with the Mylan right now. I'm still learning the different types.
Sure.
I got some Kendall, Kentucky, which I know is not an aromatic. And boy, I did that earlier on, and that was a mistake because by the time I got through with a bowl of that, I could see sounds. I mean, it was that strong.
It's good stuff.
Whew, that was it. Oh yeah, it was. I don't know what the nicotine level on that one is, but it was strong. But you know, I'm getting more into the where I can smoke the Virginias and the that sort of thing. But for now, I tend to stay in the safe harbor of the aromatics. The only thing about them is you're saying they tend to be a little wet,
which is why the Mylan ones are very good.
Yeah, and I'm a slobberer. I'll just be honest with you. One of the things I battle is I tend to get a fair amount of wetness in my pipe. And so I have to watch that. And the other big struggle I've had is sipping. One thing about pipes, and cigars don't do this, but pipes do. Pipes will tell you, they talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm smoking too fast, my pipe will let me know that I'm smoking too fast.
Yeah.
And I'll slow down. And so, or I'll set the pipe aside for a few minutes, let it cool down, and then come back. But if I get, into the freight train stuff, my pipes will tell me. And so I'm trying, because to me, one of the main things that you do as a pipe smoker is you're trying to relax. You're trying to relax and center yourself and, and just be. And you don't do that by freight training. You do that by smoking slowly, thinking about what you're doing, enjoying the feel of the pipe, enjoying the smoke. I'm trying to get the retro hail. I sometimes can do it. Other times I can't. But I'm trying to learn. But that's the biggest thing, is to get me to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And sip on it. But I love.
That was the hardest thing for me for the first couple of years, was just learning to stop just puffing away, and as soon as I thought I was smoking slow enough, to learn to smoke slower. Yeah.
And don't be worried about relighting.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on a channel or two where they, it's like a mortal sin if you relight, and I wear a lighter out in one bowl. I mean, I'm constantly relighting, but just don't worry about that. Just relight.
A lot of that will come just with practice and experience.
It will. I've had to change my pipe packing. I used to do it with the 2-pinch.
Mm-hmm.
But then I came upon something called the Frank method, which I'm sure you probably heard of.
I use a modified Frank method most of the time.
Definitely works better for me than the 2-pinch does. and I'm still getting it right, but I'm having a lot more success now with the Frank method than I was the 2-pinch. And I can usually keep it lit if I'm not running my mouth like I'm doing now. I can normally keep it lit for a while.
That's one of the reasons that that Onion and I like those rope cuts, though, is because we can chop them up just into little cubes and gravity fill, and you don't have to worry about your pack. You let gravity do the work for you, and you have a nice little cube cut. Now, some people, I have done this. Some people will slice those ropes into coins instead, or even I know Onion has talked about rubbing them out completely. Most of the time, I just cube cut them. But so all of that stuff, just practice. And you can't watch too many videos out there where people show different ways of doing stuff, because somebody's method of doing it is going to click with you. And so there's so many good ways to do things, and not really a wrong way to do it unless it's not working for you, and then it's wrong for you.
Right. That kind of attitude is what I've run into in the YTPC. Yeah. I have yet to run into anybody on any video that I've watched or that people I've communicated with, who, by the way, have been very kind. I've emailed, I've texted. You're one of them who's been very kind to respond. YTPC pipe smokers love to communicate, so they don't mind if you ask questions, and so they have been tremendously supportive. And there's not this sort of snobbery about you got to do something a certain way. I haven't run into that in the YTPC. I also love the characters, and I certainly qualify as one of them. That this is just young and old and country and city, and this is just a tremendous assortment of characters, and some of them are hysterically funny, and some are more serious. Some like to talk about their personal lives, their families and stuff. Others don't. Others stay with the tobaccos or the pipes, and it's just a different. It's a different group of personalities, and I love them. They're just. I won't mention any names, but I saw one last night that was, I won't say who it was, but it was just, I was laughing out loud. I was in tears. It was so funny.
Well, we have a few guys who are known as clowns and comics, and consistently put out funny stuff. It is a really diverse group. Now, you have been a commenter, some call a lurker, for quite a while as the pipe professor.
I'm a stalker.
A stalker. There you go. Now your new channel name, though, is the Pipe Companion. Right. So you have two online presences with us. What led you to choosing that particular channel name?
Well, I originally was going to name it the 2 p.m. poop on the porch, but I decided not to do that because it was too close to Onion's 2 a.m. pipe on the patio, and so I didn't go with that. I'm just kidding. Well, I tried to think about what did I really want to achieve with the channel, and the companionship that is so much an integral part of pipe smoking, to me, just kept coming to mind, that word. And so that's really where it came from. And, I've toyed with even changing my name, because I have a certain amount of hesitation by having professor in my name, because, I don't, sometimes with people, there's a baggage that goes with having a PhD, and, that some people think that you believe you're better than, I'm educated beyond my intelligence. And I'll tell that to anybody. So, but a lot of PhDs are not so humble. So I don't know, but there are not many professors, I don't think, on the YTPC yet, and so
there are a few.
I haven't run into them yet.
Yeah,
they're probably hiding what they're doing.
I'll have to introduce you to a few of them by email here.
Please do. I like to have some kinship with others that have gone down that road, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably keep it, but I'm just an ordinary country boy. I mean, I'm an old country professor. If I am one, it's an old country professor, and
well, that is one of the things that I like about the YTPC is that we have everybody from the sophisticated guys like Redcoats Renaissance and Dale Piper, all the way down to some of us rednecks.
well, I'm probably more on your end than I am Dale's end. Though I love the British. Dale's another channel. I've watched a lot of Dale Piper's channel because and he is another one who's been very kind to answer my emails and all. But I love that British. He can make anything sound like it's distinguished. And
yes.
And I really like that. And I know he's going through a lot right now. All the British people are, with the loss of the Queen, and I hope we'll all keep him in our thoughts, and all of our other UK YTPCers. It was sad that they lost the Queen, but of course we've as Onion says, we've still got Tom Brady.
There we go. Who won't ever go away.
Only my good friend could possibly connect the Queen of England and Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
I was kidding him about that the other day. I said, man, you broke me up. When you came out, that was an onion pearl if we ever had one right there, But it is a tremendous variety of people that I'm a lurker. I'll admit it. I am. I just have covered the YouTube with going to as many different places as I can to learn, because I've learned so much I've learned. And I've also learned all the different ways I've screwed up and continue to screw up, but yeah. That's another reason for the channel, is that I thought, maybe there's an audience out there for people like me who screw up, and to know that there are other people out there who, it's not about whether you light it just right, or you pack it just right, or you sip it just right. What's more important to me is the person I've got sitting across from me, even if it's virtual, it's that companionship, it's that brotherhood almost with pipe smoke that you get. But I'm hoping that there will be some experience, very knowledgeable people like you who will, give me some feedback and tell me if you see something or give me some recommendations on, some things that I can do, and those on the channel can do to make it more fun. But it's an experience. It really.
The first thing you have to do is you have to master enjoying Haunted Bookshop. So that's your first assignment then, if you want
that. The last order I sent in the Smoking Pipes, I almost ordered some Haunted Bookshop, but I'll be honest with you, I don't have much hair left, and I'm afraid if I smoke that stuff, I'll lose what little I've got left, because I've heard that stuff, there are nuclear weapons and they're not as strong as that stuff.
Well, Haunted Bookshop is just kind of it's almost I wouldn't call it a litmus test so much as it's a dividing line. There are very few people who are on the fence about Haunted Bookshop. You either love it or hate it.
It's true.
And now there are people who like Cat Dad Piper and a bunch of other guys like to make what they call the haunted pirate ship by mixing Haunted Bookshop half and half with pirate cake. Now, I happen to like both of those blends all by themselves, and I think it's a horrible crime to mix the two because you're diluting both of them. But a lot of folks like that because, well, it does in fact tone down some of the harshness of both of those blends. But yeah, no, I kidding about the Haunted Bookshop, but yeah, that is one of those. That's a love it or hate it. And
well, if I could get through the Kendall, Kentucky without falling over, then
the Haunted Bookshop isn't as strong, I don't think, as that and the Dark Bird's Eye.
Hadn't tried that. I don't think I'm ready.
Uh,
My papa used to smoke. Well, he smoked pipes and cigars, mostly cigars actually. But when I was born, as I said on my first video, he stopped because he didn't want me to smell it. He didn't want me to breathe it. And so he would sit and chew on his cigars rather than smoke them. But Pop used to smoke Prince Albert and half and half, the old, I think you call them codger blends, the old
Yep.
sort of blends. And I've heard some interesting stuff about half and half. That seems to be another one that there's not a lot of middle ground on,
I think so. Yeah, because it has a very interesting licorice type taste to it. At least it does to me. And I happen to like black licorice, so half and half isn't bad. There are other codger blends I like a lot better. Carter Hall is my favorite.
I haven't tried any Carter Hall.
It's a soft one. Ironically, I like stronger blends, but Carter Hall is one of the softer codger blends. Yeah. And to me, it's almost like the codger version of, say, a Lane 1Q. It's a much softer burley flavor than Prince Albert or Sir Walter Raleigh. Both of those are a little burlier. And yeah, I happen to just like Carter Hall better.
Pop used to smoke, those are the blends, the Prince Alberts, the half and half, the Sir Walter Raleighs. That's what Pop, because when he died, all that stuff was given to me. I don't know why, because I wasn't smoking at the time, but I guess they knew how much I revered him. And so I have his, in fact, I'm looking at his old White Owl cigar box. And in it was an old pouch of, packaging of white Prince Albert. And I think I've got something Sir Walter Raleigh.
Huh.
And actually, another blend I've really enjoyed is the McBaron's. I like some of the McBaron blends. The Navy Flake, I think that's a McBaron.
Well, they do make a Navy Flake, and that's a burley Navy Flake instead of a Virginia.
And I like that pretty well. I've got some of that. The 1897. I'm trying to think of the company that makes that. But anyway, Cornell and Deal. I've tried some of their stuff. It's pretty good.
Well, they only make about 400 blends for you to try, so
I had to hit on it eventually. Yeah. I wish I could remember that 1897 blend, but it's pretty good.
Stokeby. They sound. Stokeby does a bunch of year numbered blends.
I think that's probably what it is, and I like that. That's been good, but a lot of times I'll try something and I kind of like it, and I don't really know what it is when I smoke it. I don't know if it's a Kentucky or a Virginia or a New Mexico. I don't know, but then I'll look it up, and it's a straight Virginia or it's a burley blend or something, and I think I'm an aromatic guy, but maybe there's something.
At some point in time, a lot of us recommend that newer pipe smokers go ahead and buy 1 ounce samples of blending components, just to get an idea of what each of them tastes like by itself, and use a little a little corn cob or a meerschaum type pipe, so that you're tasting just the pure leaf. I've got a tiny meerschaum billiard. Oh, clays are really good for tasting components too, and they're cheap. You can pick up clays for 10-15 bucks. But yeah, just to be able to taste each of the individual components, and then you can start to pick them out of blends a little better. It took me a long time to even begin to do that. I have almost no sense of smell, so complex blends, if you've got more than 2 things competing for attention,
so the hell doesn't do it for you. The retro hell doesn't help you a lot.
It really doesn't. In fact, almost not at all.
That's that way with me. I've got a Missouri meerschaum with the green forever stem and I smoke that. I like that. I worry about something else with new pipe smokers that I hear about, and I have to depend on the wisdom of you and others about. I hear a lot about ghosting, and so I've built up a fair collection in just a few months, and I'm going to have to auction my house off to pay for it. But I wonder about, as I smoke, should I dedicate a pipe to certain blends? How much of the ghost, particularly when I'm smoking strong stuff like the Kendall Kentucky, or forbid if I ever smoke the Haunted Bookshop, how much of that do you single out pipes for different blends? I guess is because I'm getting to the point now where I have enough pipes that I can do that.
A lot of guys will dedicate a pipe or two to Lakeland blends like that Innerdale, because that floral does have a real strong lingering presence, a ghost in your pipe, or it can. I have a billiard that's dedicated to Lakeland blends. Other than that, I don't dedicate pipes, because most of the stuff I smoke is strong enough that it doesn't matter what I smoked last. I'm just going to taste what I'm smoking now.
It out. And I try to be really good about cleaning my pipes. For example, Mutton Shop Piper. I learned about cleaning my pipes, and he recommends using the Everclear and some sort of liqueur, and so I got both of those, and I used the Everclear. I haven't cleaned my pipes with it yet. I just drink it. But
then you don't care.
I drink enough of that stuff, and I don't really give a flip how dirty my pipes are. Not just picking, but I made the mixture with that, and I'm very good about every week. But I enjoy it. I enjoy cleaning my pipes. I use something called feed and wax that I use to shine my briars with. I don't have a buffer wheel yet.
I don't either.
So I use the feed and wax, another suggestion I got from some channel. That's pretty good. And I try to clean them when I finish smoking. I try to run a pipe cleaner through the stem and that sort of thing. So, but it's not a chore to me on the weekends. It's when I typically do it. Whatever I've used during the week, I'll clean, and I like it. I like shining them up, and tasting a little bit of it. I'm just picking. I don't drink. I'm crazy enough not drinking. I certainly don't want to drink, and and I've never done drugs or anything like that. Onion is trying to get me to try the dark marijuana twist, but I haven't tried that yet. He says it's some good stuff. I don't know. He gets it from one of these interstate underpasses as a guy that sits out there on a chair. It's got to be easier to get than the guy with the Hogarth stuff. I can tell you that. I mean, geez Louise, I can't.
Yeah, I leave those notify me email things at 2 or 3 of the big sites, just to try and catch when there's a drop, because they are hard to get.
This was the first time any company had contacted me, and I jumped on it. I mean, I jumped on it. Anything they had that I had heard about that I had not been able to get before. The Innerdale I've not been able to get. The twist, the black, the brown and black twist, I have not been able to get. And
those go fast.
Oh man.
In fact, by the time I got to Smoking Pipe's website, the black twist was all gone. So I picked up a pound of the brown Irish twist. But yeah, you must have snagged the last of the black. But
you want me to send you
they go fast.
You want me to send you something?
No, I've actually got a couple pounds of it.
I think I bought a half a pound, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on something until I've tried it.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what everybody's telling me, I'm hearing that I can't go wrong pretty much with Garth and Hogarth. But
the good news is that with the black and brown twists anyway, if you decide you don't like them, you've got a couple of guys in me and Onion who will gladly trade you for them, because we love the stuff.
I'll tell you another blend I like is Early Morning Pipe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, is that Peterson? Is that a Peterson blend? I really like that, and I'm a coffee drinker. big time. And there are certain tobaccos I found that really go well with coffee.
Mhm.
And I guess early morning pipe, you would expect it to go well with coffee. And it does. I like that blend a lot, the early morning pipe. And I'm going to try one called Chelsea Morning. I've heard a lot about that, and I ordered some of that, which is supposed to be something on the line of early morning pipe.
Yeah, those Latakia forward blends, the English blends I love them. I like them stronger than those. I For me, Peterson's Nightcap is a little on the mild side, but see, Pirate Cake, which is 75% Latakia, that's one of my favorite blends. I love that Lat Bomb.
I also ordered some Seattle Pipe Club plum cake,
Plum pudding,
plum pudding. That's right.
fantastic stuff.
Gonna try that. So I'm looking forward to it. The box is over there. Once I got around the poop in the intestine, I think it'll still be hard to get out of my mind. I'm looking forward to doing it, to trying some of the new blends. But I've noticed that experienced pipe smokers like you typically have their go-tos. They have their base. They have 3 or 4 tobaccos that their go-tos, and I'm probably going to have that for now. And for example, I was listening to Dale it's one of his videos was talking about how he did a reset, where he was talking about he had spent a lot of time trying different tobaccos, and he finally reached a point where he wanted to go back to what had been sort of his base.
Mm-hmm.
I forget exactly what brand it was that I want to say Velvet maybe, or one of those brands that he just kind of had to get away from all the myriad of tobaccos and get back to his base, his center. And I don't know what yours are, but most everybody I've heard on their channel at some point, they'll say, okay, these are the 3 or 4 that I pretty much stick with.
Well, for me, it's not necessarily just a couple of blends, but it's a type. Dark Fired Kentucky, anything that's Kentucky based, or the Gawith and Hogarth and Sam Gawith dark Virginias, the Black and Brown Irish twists being examples, or Sam Gawith's 1792 flake. I like the dark Virginias. I don't really like the bright hay, grass, honey type, but a lot of people do. Virginias are extremely popular with an awful lot of folks, especially as summer blends. Kentucky, dark fired Kentucky, or the really dark cooked Virginias.
Boy, you like the strong stuff.
I do, mostly because I don't have a great sense of smell, so I can taste the stronger blends. They're strong enough that I can smell them and taste them. So cigar leaf blends are another one that I tend to like. But yeah, the stronger stuff is definitely what suits my palate best.
One thing that I know would be helpful, I don't know if I've suggested this or not to Onion or some others, is that there are certain brands like the Gawith and Hogarth is a good example of you just about impossible to get in the States. What I love to see is a video or a series of videos of, okay, what are some that you can get in the States that maybe aren't quite as good, but are close, that you can get in the States? That would be tremendously helpful. I know as a new pipe smoker, to me, if I can't get some of these tobaccos, what is the closest I'm going to get with something that I can get from Four Noggins or Smoking Pipes or whatever the main places are? Watch City, I've got some tobaccos from them.
Well, Watch City is an excellent source. Boswell's, Milan, Gatlin Burlier, those guys, Country Squire, talking about brick and mortars who put out fantastic blends on their own. For me, there are a lot of guys who don't like Cornell and Deal, because Cornell and Deal really they do 2 things. They do Red Virginia pretty well, and they do Burley. And if you're not into those 2 things, well, Cornell and Deal may not be your thing, but they put out 400 blends, something. I mean, it's crazy number of hundreds of blends. And, it's real easy just to browse through their selection and find things that you will like. particularly in bulk tobaccos that you can pick up pretty affordably.
Right, but what for me, it's since I don't have a brick and mortar around.
Right.
You know, the tobaccos that you keep hearing about, like, and I can't think of some others right off the top of my head, but I do know the Innerdale and the Garth and Hogarth brands have been very difficult for me to get. What are some parallels there? I know the brick and mortar blends they can a lot of times approximate them, but if you don't have a brick and mortar, what are some things you can order online at some of these big places that's going to get you close to a brown Irish twist? It's not going to be as good, but
I don't know of anything that comes close to those.
Yeah.
Probably the closest would be Mac Baron's HH Old Dark Fired or their HH Bold Kentucky, in terms of being readily available all the time here in the US and strong flavors.
Right. Yeah, I haven't tried either one of those, but yeah, I know that you're probably not going to be able to get as good as those, but some brick and mortar places, I wish there was some close by. The closest one I have that I know about is in Raleigh. It's the closest one I found it. But you mentioned one prior to us starting this interview that I'm going to try that.
The Apex store.
Yeah, the
Apex Cigar Shop. They the Apex Cigar Lounge. They don't have any house blends, and they don't have a lot of selection. Unfortunately, neither does the shop in downtown Raleigh. They don't have a huge selection of tobaccos. They've been around a long time, but yeah, as far as variety goes, that's one of the nice things about all of the brick and mortars that I mentioned have online ordering.
All right.
You know, you can't smell them before you buy them, but you can buy 1 or 2 ounces of a variety of their blends just to see, whether they suit you.
Yeah, Mylon is very good about, if they know what you like, they can get you in the ballpark, and 2 a.m. pipe on the patio is where I got connected with Mylon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now the only downside to most of the brick and mortars is very few really have, for me, that really have any dark fired Kentucky type blends. They don't do the darker blends. For the most part, a heavy English might be the closest thing you would get in terms of a strength.
Is that because there's not a market for it? The pipe smokers typically around that area aren't into something that's strong?
I don't think that there is, or they would be doing them. The market is there because you have people like Mac Baron making the Old Dark Fired and Bold Kentucky, but I don't know that for a brick and mortar that people wandering in off the street are really going to be drawn to those things. They tend to like either medium and lighter Englishes or aromatics.
Right. You mentioned the cigar leaf. That was this cloud hopper that I'm smoking. Mm-hmm. I wasn't aware until recently that was originally a cigar. Basically, they produced a lot of cigars, and that their pipe blends are something of a merging of some of their cigar leaves.
Yeah, Warped has worked together with Cornell and Deal, and a lot of their blends, now not all of them, but a lot of their blends do have cigar leaf in them, and they're very good.
And I don't know if this does, because I just don't know enough about it, but it I don't get any tongue bite with it. It doesn't beat me around, it's got a good, I like it, the smell of it when I open it up, and so yeah, I like it, but that was news to me about it being having the cigar leaf in it.
Yeah, Warped is a cigar manufacturer, and they within the last 4 or 5 years branched out with C&D, and I think it's been great personally. I haven't tried all of their blends yet, but the ones that I've had, I think they're pretty good. I wish they were available in bulk because I'm cheap.
Another thing is some of the stuff you really like, you can't get in bulk. Yeah. So you have to buy the tins, which, I don't know that that's been a huge problem with me, but I have come across a couple of things I would buy in bulk if I could get them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, now the haunted bookshop, I probably will get in like a thimble size, if I ever get it. And another guy is that unfortunately we lost is Matches.
Mm-hmm.
And I've looked at a number of his videos, and his tobacco recommendations are very helpful. I've gotten some off his channel, and
well, he was another haunted bookshop nut.
yeah, he was. He loved, and he freight trained it too.
Well,
and,
that's one of the nice things about Burley blends is that you can. It's one of the reasons most of the time when I do these interviews, I'm smoking a Burley or a dark fired Kentucky, because when we're talking, I'm not really sipping. They're a little more forgiving for me.
Well, he was like old engine number 10. Sometimes you had trouble seeing him through the fog. Yeah, and I think he smoked a 673 was his Friday Savinelli.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to get one of the commemorative things. They did 800, I think, pipes when he passed.
Yeah, you'd have to buy one off the estate market because they're all gone.
They're gone. And so I do have a Roma pipe, but it's not a 673. It's a 320 that I just bought. But I haven't tried a 673 yet.
If you really like the 320s, the 673 is like a smaller version. It's not the same shape, but it does have relatively thick walls. It's a good smoker. I've got one in the Roma finish, and it's a good pipe, but I doubt that it's going to draw you away from the 320s. Onion's onto something there. The 320 is a fantastic pipe.
And I've got one I bought not too long ago. It's a 320 Terra. It's made by Savinelli, and that thing is huge. I mean, the amount, if I ever add on to my house, I'm not going to need to buy much wood. I think I could probably saw that pipe up and at least do a bedroom out of it. I mean, it's huge. The amount, there must have been a tree dedicated to that pipe because it was huge. And it's called a Terra, but it's a 320, and it has this Domaliti type stem on it. And I like those. I like the big bowls, and but I have to watch out because I can, if they are the type that are tapered toward the bottom, toward the shank,
mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I tend to run hot. When I get down to the end of the bowl is where I tend to run hot when the bowl is shaped like that, and the 320 does taper down toward the toward the bottom. But that's okay. I need to learn to sip, and maybe I have to burn my hand a few times and, before I get it through my hard head that I've got to sip. But like I said, the pipe tells me when I need to slow down, and I listen because I don't want to burn my pipes out, and I try to keep care. I'm really fanatical about probably too much so, about keeping care of my pipes and building up the cake evenly. When I get through smoking, I like to put a napkin on the top, and then I'll shake it up,
mm-hmm.
up and down, and then dump it in the ashtray, and that has helped build a cake, and so sort of an even cake anyway. And that's what I do. And I feel around in there to make sure I'm not burning any holes. And so far, I haven't noticed that I've damaged anything yet. But that one bowl of that haunted bookshop, and I might even burn that Terra out. I'm telling you, that's
no, that burns pretty cool.
People love it. There are people who just would think that is the best thing. They love it, and I'm going to try it. I am going to try it. Maybe when I'm older.
When you grow up a little.
When I'm about to kick off anyway, I might try it, and that way, if it kills me, it's not going to be that big a deal. But I don't know. Haven't quite built up the courage yet to try the haunted bookshop. But that's the great thing about tobaccos, and cigars cigars are so expensive. They're
Yeah.
just expensive. And maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like to me that you can get a whole lot of variety in tobaccos for pipes and spend a whole lot less money than you do with cigars to achieve the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pipe tobacco is not cheap, granted, but there's this tremendous range of really good tobaccos out there that, to me, don't cost as much as, I mean, cigars that are $75 a piece or something. I mean,
on a per smoke basis, a pipe certainly can be cheaper. Of course, then you get into pipe and tobacco acquisition disorders and wind up spending, probably almost as much as you would have on cigars, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can get a huge variety much cheaper.
Well, I'm going to need your counseling because I'm headed in that direction. So I need to spend some time on the couch at your place getting some therapy because I'm headed that way. My taste, though limited, is starting to get a bit expensive. And so I need to, and I'm a teacher, I don't know if you know what teachers make, but it's sort of like being a missionary. You don't do it for money.
Yep.
And so I think I've built a good base. I think I've got a good rotation of pipes now. I bought a good variety of tobaccos. I have the jars to cellar them with. I have a full basement that I need to clean out that I have a place I can cellar the stuff in. And so I feel good about terms of I think I've established a good base, and I'm going to sort of calm down for a while. And I say that, but
yeah, we all say that.
You and Onion and some of the rest of these people would stop talking about these tobaccos. I could back off easier, but I mean, I could sit and listen to you or Onion or somebody else, and I'm sitting here drooling all over myself, and then I go to find them online, particularly with Onion, and I go to find them online, I can't find them, and I'm thinking, oh geez,
Well, I've been smoking through samples that people have given me. I've got more samples right now that probably last me well into next year.
Well, I don't expect anyone to send me anything. I don't expect that from any of the people who come to my channel. But maybe at some point there'll be somebody who'll send me one here and there, and I can try some of these. And that's another thing about pipe smoking is that the YTPC community. I'm always hearing about people on their channel saying, "Well, so and so sent me this," and they'll do box openings right there on their channel, and
we trade back and forth.
Yeah, it's great. They trade the pipes and they trade the tobaccos. Here, try this. See what you think about it. It's good. It's fun. It's fun to trade, and people are very generous in this community. It seems like.
Certainly are. Well, hey, I have really enjoyed this. I'm getting the sounds that you hear. My wife is texting me saying, "Hey, it's supper time." Do you have any parting words for our audience? Do you have any parting thoughts for our audience?
Well, I hope people will come and visit my channel. There's an open rocker, as you can see, out there for everybody. It's amazing. It'll seat however many people want to join in. It's an amazing rocker. You don't get those everywhere. Only in North Carolina do you get rockers like that. You can sit 10, 12 people in them. I think the thing that I want to say is that I am, all kidding aside, I kid with you and Onion and others, but I am just so grateful of the response that I've received. I'm so grateful of the knowledge that has been freely shared. I am so grateful that people like you and Onion are taking on new pipe smokers like me and passing it along and keeping the art. And I think it's an art. I think it's a craft. and keeping that going. You have to foster that with new people, and I think it's important. And this community, I'm just so appreciative to people like you and Onion and Dale and others who have just really, and I hate to mention names because I'm sure I know they're people I'm leaving out, and I hate to do that. But they know who they are, I guess, because I stalked them. I mean, I watched them.
We'll just tell you, light something you like. Enjoy your afternoon.